My friends, there is a war going on between the bulls and the bears. The bulls and the bears, they are fighting for land, for territory, for the pastures, for the forest, for the market. The bulls end up making a very bold, strong, aggressive statement to the upside all the way up to 402, 403. The bears wanted to rein in on the bulls parade, dropped the market right back down to 395. Then the bulls understood that the war was not yet over, and they continued all the way up to almost 408. Right after that, when everything looked extremely bullish, the bears once more brought the market down. And today, the bulls made another bold statement, ripping the market right back up above resistance. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about what the next steps are for the market. We're going to be taking a look at the onslaught, the visceral carnage between each side, and then we're also going to be taking a look at the macroeconomic news that we have to take a look at for this week, as well as the earnings that are going to come out later this week. All right, so without further ado, let's get started with the video. All right, number one, tomorrow is a big day. We have a lot of news coming out pre-market at 8:15 a.m. and then we have some more news coming out at 10 a.m. Very important news. So we're not going to be holding on to any positions during this 10 a.m. period. And then, of course, we have the federal funds rate and the FOMC statement at 2 o'clock. And then at 2:30, Fed Powell is going to speak. So tomorrow is definitely going to have very high IV. The movement of the market is probably going to be choppy, and then it'll have a big move, and then it'll be range, choppy, and then another big move. Basically, it won't be as fluid, in my opinion. So, yeah, just be careful about over trading tomorrow. And now let's go ahead and refresh our memories of what earnings are going to end up happening later this week. So we're going to have AMD earnings later today, actually. And then tomorrow we're going to have Facebook earnings, Wednesday after the close. And then Thursday after the close, of course, we're going to have Amazon, Apple, and Google. So Wednesday and Thursday after hours are going to be very important. And then depending on how AMD did, it may have a big effect on Nvidia as well, and the rest of the tech stocks. So we're gonna have to see how that happens. So right off the bat, what we can take a look at is a chart of the SPX. Yesterday I was showing how we had a red candle, but we stopped right at this trend line. And if you guys remember, this trend line is basically a downtrend line that began back in it began back in August. So we connected this back to August, and then it had a touch back in December, and then it got retested in December to yesterday's low. So that was a pretty interesting situation that we didn't break below much lower. There was a lot of buyers that stepped in, basically, and there was enough buyers that stepped in that basically you got another close back above the December 2009 trend line. And if tomorrow we end up getting another close, usually what ends up happening is once we get two closes above major trend lines, we do continue upwards. So similarly, we got a retest of this trend line, and then this was basically a validation that we can continue upwards. So it's going to be very interesting if but it's very tough to swing anything because we have complete ambiguity of how the FOMC statement and how the Fed's rate is going to affect the market. But in general, if we weren't going to have any macro news with the Fed's rate or anything like that coming out tomorrow, this is a very bullish statement. When everything looked extremely bearish yesterday, where we did not even get a retest. If we go to the SPY, we did not even get a retest of 407, 406 when I thought that was basically a given, right? Instead, we gapped down and we never even got like a bounce back to retest anything. That was extremely bearish. But then today, to see that we bounced up like this and closed above major levels of resistance, that is, you can't say anything else. That is very bullish. So in general, this would be a setup where we would break above this high and continue on higher. But that is all completely up in the air, depending on how the rates and everything are going to be affected are going to affect the market at around 2 and 2:30. But the best we can do is we could take a look at the rest of the indices, the dollar, the bonds, and the VIX. So today, obviously, the market was led by the IWM. The IWM was the biggest winner. And you could see how strong it is in terms of this uptrend. And also the fact that on the MACD indicator, we're still oversold. So that means that there's a lot more room to go to the upside. It closed above its recent highs. And that is very, very strong relative to where the SPY and the NASDAQ is. So pay attention to this MACD indicator. We're still oversold on the IWM. Whereas on the SPY, we are technically overbought. We should be falling lower, but the price of the SPY is continuing to go up, which shows a lot of buying pressure still. And the NASDAQ also is still overbought. The NASDAQ was not as strong today as the IWM. So, but regardless, we still had a big green move while the MACD indicator looks like it's falling lower. So this denotes a lot of buying pressure. Next, I want to take a look at the bonds. The bonds are showing support. They're holding above the 20 exponential moving average. It's holding the 38.2% fib, and it looks like it's creating a base. So now we need it to break and hold above 130.22, and ideally we need it to break above 131, and that would help bring the bonds up. And we know that the bonds have a correlated relationship with the market in general. So if the bonds are doing well and they're holding above support, then that means that the market should also be doing well. And the fact that the bonds are not showing extreme weakness is strength for the market in general. Next, the dollar. We know that the dollar has a bit of an inverted relationship with the market. If the dollar is rising, that means that the stock market is weak and it should be falling. So today, what ended up happening was the dollar was very strong, and then it wicked and fell much lower. So a weaker dollar means that the market is stronger. So today, obviously, we can see that the MACD is continuing to move upwards. What I was basically saying was if we want the overall momentum of the MACD, the slower indicator, if we want that to go up and start moving upwards and start showing positive momentum, then that would need this blue MACD line to start overshooting and becoming very overbought. And while this is doing something like this, the yellow line will slowly start to also move upwards. So that is currently what looks to be happening. So now the dollar basically just needs to continue its upward trajectory and continue to show strength. And if it doesn't, and if the dollar ends up breaking below these support levels, then the stock market is just going to continue showing a lot of strength because, yeah, I mean, the only other thing that would cause the dollar to, I mean, that's sort of the only thing that I'm trying to think about how that would affect the market is basically since China is going to be reopening, a lot of products are going to be traded with dollars. So that might also affect the price of the dollars moving forward, especially since China is going to reopen. So, yeah, but aside from that, basically the dollar just needs to continue showing strength for this momentum to shift upwards. But at the moment, if it does not continue to show this strength, then the MACD is very overbought and it's going to just fall, and then it could really, really start to tumble. So, yeah, we just basically need to see if this upward momentum on the dollar can continue. And if it can't continue, then the stock market is going to fly, basically. Aside from that, there's not really much else to talk about here. In summary, if we did not have the Fed rate meeting tomorrow, this is a very bullish setup. And usually, I mean, when you see it this strong, when you see a reversal candle like this closing above major resistance levels, this generally just continues up. But because we have all of this news coming out tomorrow, it's not that simple to just buy. So I haven't entered into any new long positions or swings. But yeah, I mean, overall today we made a lot of great day trades, but this is generally, I mean, when you look at the setup, it should be breaking out to new highs, but too much ambiguity with all the news. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.